While people say that the biggest match in a cricket World Cup or an ICC when it's India versus Pakistan, you certainly cannot take your eyes away from the Ashes. And it's Australia versus England, be it men's, be it women's, always a blockbuster clash. I have Neha with me. Whenever it's big games in women's cricket, it has to be Neha. And welcome to the show, Neha. Australia, England, both the teams have got that Q beside their name now, which is the best thing possible for both of them. But no matter what, they will not take this game lightly, either of the sides. They will go hard, punching hard at each other. How much do you look into this contest?
Hi, Preetham. Once again, at the risk of repeating myself, I'm just really happy to be here to discuss what promises, right, to be another blockbuster match. You have Australia taking on England. I mean, it would be an understatement to say, right, these are the top, heavyweight teams taking on each other, both of them,
Correct.
just having such a wonderful World Cup so far. So, yeah, I mean, it's again, seeing these two teams sort of renew their rivalry. The women's Ashes, we got to see a glimpse of, Australia getting the better of England. But England seems to be a much better and evolved unit under Nat Brand. You have Charlotte Edwards as head coach. So yeah, a mouth-watering encounter nonetheless.
Absolutely, mouth-watering encounter. But if you look into the way Australia are playing, still unbeaten in the World Cup. Similarly, on the other hand, what a performance that was from England. Do you give them credit for the way they defended the score, or do you feel ashamed and say that India choked miserably?
Yeah, Preetham. Honestly, this is a tough one. I mean, let's first look at Australia, right? The kind of World Cup they've had so far,
Yeah,
looking like a team that's oozing a lot of class and confidence. A lot of players,
correct.
peaking and finding form, which is something that will augur well for the side, right? Considering they are favourites to lift the trophy. And coming to England again, there are a myriad of issues that probably have gone unnoticed so far. They were pushed to the brink, in the matches versus other teams like say Pakistan or even versus Sri Lanka for that matter. But they still found reasons and ways to
Hundred
sort of
percent. Yeah.
have rain save them or still find ways to win in that sense. But in the match versus India again, you could see right. I think their nerves were just made out of steel to still be able to pull off a win. By
Correct.
4 runs. Probably a lot can be attributed to how India could not really make the most of that pressure situation, but it
Exactly.
doesn't take away from what England did in that match.
Well, you can say that it doesn't take away, and I give complete credit to Nancy Verfront for how she led the side and also the bowlers that defended the score. Lindsay Smith bowled a fabulous last over. But every single show, when we discuss, we somehow need to drag India back because of the way they are playing. Hat trick of defeats. That's not the main point. The main point is that from where, in a situation where they had 7 wickets in hand, if I'm not sure, the run rate was less than 6 runs per over. From there on, you're losing that game, choking in home conditions in a small ground where you can hit a couple of sixes and the match is in your grasp. You couldn't do that. Aerial shots were not important. I think, unfortunately, despite scoring such hard 88 runs, I think it needs to be given the blame to Smriti Mandana.
Yeah, Preetham, I think when a loss like this happens, it's easy to, sort of pin the blame on one player, sort of scapegoat them. But when you're, trying to endure a massive chase like that, you need everyone to sort of, step up and deliver. I mean, although Smriti Mandana herself sort of admitted that, her dismissal, like she takes
Correct.
the entire blame and her
Correct.
dismissal was
Correct.
probably the changing, turning point in that match. But then you ideally want the unit as a large to, step up. And that's where probably even India's decision to go ahead with, Renuka Singh Thakur ahead of someone like a Jemmy was a decision that definitely came under the scanner. And
Mm,
the fact that India is not used to chasing 300 plus totals as the offense also sort of puts into perspective, right? Like how do you make that? How do you make winning a habit? How do you get that in your muscle memory that hey, we can actually chase big totals like that? For me, it's more about the
100%.
mental fortitude, Preetham. Again, not to look at specific players, place the blame on them. I think the team as a unit will probably have to work on the mental side of things. I'd say.
Absolutely, you need to, but if you have to, because at the moment, which situation looks like it's going to be India or New Zealand, either of them making it through to the semi-finals and the fourth spot. Outside chance for the likes of Pakistan and Sri Lanka, but we'll keep that aside. But if whoever wins, whoever qualifies at the fourth team ends up playing Australia. That's highly likely because 1 versus 4 ends up happening. But in this contest, first of all, the conditions is going to be played at the Holkar Cricket Stadium in Indore. We recently saw a blockbuster thrilling clash, last ball thriller, we can say that, India versus England. Once again, expecting a high scoring encounter where two powerhouse sides meet each other, Neha.
Absolutely, Preetham. I think so far, Indore, the venue, right? Not just the pitch and the conditions. I think the overall ambience and the environment too, right, has been fantastic. Just to see the
Absolutely correct.
yeah,
100%.
just to see the fans, turn up in massive numbers, throng the stadium, and actually make a match out of it is definitely something.
And that's
But
where
I
I
guess
say that when you give these kind of small venues matches, this fill the entire crowd. But if you give Ahmedabad matches, even if they have 35, 40,000 people, it still feels like it's empty.
absolutely, Preetham. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, it really goes on to show, right, that if you do the right kind of marketing, that you would see crowds sort of turn up.
Yeah.
Just hoping that even for a non-India match, especially this is a match that has Australia and England take on each other, we again get to see similar crowds thronging the stadiums. But looking at the pitch and the conditions too, I think it's absolutely like a belter of a pitch, right? Teams will expect that hey, we can actually score a lot of runs and probably sort of
Mhm.
even chase it down. So in that regard, yeah, just looking forward to seeing what the match has to offer.
Absolutely. And with the way England defended in the previous game, I think defending won't be a bad idea because we hardly saw any dew in conditions. If spinners are bowling at death overs, which means that there was hardly any dew. But about head to head between these two teams, we talk about women's cricket, it's a very no brainer kind of a thing. Australia dominating. Once again, in your screen, you can see Neha 85 matches, 60 matches won by Australia, 24 by England, one match tie. Do you think England can fight back against their arch rivals and get another victory under their belt?
I mean, honestly, the way things are headed, Preetham, Australia looks like one of the teams to beat, right? They've done pretty much nothing wrong through this
Correct.
tournament. I think the match versus Pakistan was an aberration where they were really pushed to the wall and they were in a very difficult situation. Yet you had a match winner emerge. I mean, that's very characteristic of Australia, right? To find match winners in situations where, you
100%.
wouldn't entirely want one player to stand up, but you have others do that. So I'd still probably give the advantage to Australia there that they kind of look like favorites in this match. But England is again one thing you wouldn't want to write off, considering the kind of form and all the expectations they were coming into this World Cup with. Not a lot of people gave them chances. They lost that home series to India, and then the whole transition with the coach and the head coach, with the head coach and the captain. A lot of people felt that probably it's going to be difficult for England. But the kind of campaign that they've had so far, right? You obviously wouldn't
True.
want to write them off. So yeah, I'd still give
Absolutely,
Australia
I,
the
I I
edge.
certainly wouldn't want that, but England's looks to be a little bit crumbling because apart from the two experienced pros of Natskiver Brand and Heather Knight, the others are not working well. Amy Jones, Tammy Bowman at the top are not working. Alice Capsey, Sophie Dunkley are not working. You need to get that going, and you need to make sure that that clicks against your arch rivals of Australia. And also, you're entering into the business end of the tournament.
Absolutely, Preetha. That's a fair observation because for the longest time, you've seen, right, England depending heavily on the likes of Heather Knight, you have Nat Silverbrandt to always come and bail you out of trouble, which cannot be the pattern for the rest of the tournament. That's when the experienced players and the likes of, an Amy Jones or a Tammy Beaumont are players you'd want, to sort of step up and sort of deliver. Plus, I think England also has this issue of their middle order looking, not quite in the best possible forms. The likes of Sophia Dunkley, Alice Capsey, and even Emma Lamb, right? As much as we rave about them, their form hasn't been best. So for England, that could be like a underbelly, that could sort of get exposed in a match versus Australia, and that's where again you'd hope the experienced players sort of take the onus of the run scoring and ensure England's on the right side of the result.
Absolutely, it has to be important. But similarly, on the other hand, in Australia, I think we should fall short of names and match winners they have in this side. You said about how they were under trouble versus Pakistan's, yet you had somebody, a match winner in the name of Bet Mooney, who got them out. But is this the right opportunity for Australia because they are playing so well, winning constantly, to rotate the squad? We can see how they manage the three seamers around. Sometimes it's Kim Gard playing, sometimes it's Megan Shute playing, sometimes it's Darcy Brown playing. Can we expect something at the top of the order, resting somebody like a Phoebe Litchfield and having a Georgia Wall there? Or you think that no, you're going to click with the stick to that lefty righty combination?
I think Preetham right now, just I think before we sat to record the news came in that Alisa Healy has been ruled out because of a calf strain. So that would mean Australia invariably will have to bring in Georgia Wall. So
Georgia
that
Wall,
means
yeah.
yes, Georgia Wall and Phoebe Litchfield at the top would seem like a right combination. Phoebe Litchfield has probably been in such a prolific vein of form, has complemented Alisa Healy so well, and the kind of form right in this World Cup has been spotless. So I don't think they'd want to tinker a lot with that combination. Coming to the bowling side of things, yeah, I think the fact that they've been able to marshal their troops so well, bring in the right
Correct.
kind of reinforcements when needed. The switch with Megan Shute and Darcy Brown, or be it even Kim Garth and all of that. I think they've just been using these resources really well because as you reach the fag end of the tournament, you'd want to use your best possible combination, not have your bowlers be overburdened. And the way Alana King is bowling, it's just been fantastic, right? I think we can again
True.
dedicate an entire episode just raving about how good she has been on these
Absolutely.
surfaces.
She's weighting her pace brilliantly, and that's the reason why she has always been the strike bowler for Australia, especially in the spin department. But yeah, that could be a huge blow but they already have a solid backup in the name of Georgia Wall for Australia, and I think Beth Mooney will don the gloves for Australia. But thoughts about the players to watch out for? Let's take a look into that. I'm going with Elise Perry and Annabel Sutherland are the two players for Australia. Natskiva Brunt and Sophie Eccleston, the two prime players for New Zealand. I'm sorry, England. X Factor, I'm going in the name of Ashley Gardner.
Yeah, Preetham, I think these are solid picks, right? Elise Perry walks into probably any playing 11 on
Any,
given day.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of form that she's had over the course of these years. I'd say even this World Cup, right? She's come in with those timely cameos. It's not been that one explosive performance like the usual, very characteristic Elise Perry, but quietly she's been doing her job. So, no two ways of looking at that. Annabelle Sutherland, too, right? The way she has been bowling, I think the broadcast was showing, right? A bunch of all the variations she's been using in her bowling, the back of the hand LB working so well, the
Yep.
cross seam, and it's just getting those, Yorkers and bouncers. She's just mixing it up really well, which augurs well again for Australia, that you have such a class player who's able to execute her thing so beautifully. And
True.
even being in the top of the wicket takers chart, say, Annabelle Sutherland is definitely a good pick there. And even for England, Preetham, absolute no brainers. You had to go there with Natsuba Brunt and Sophie Eccleston. They've been the flag bearers for England for the longest period of time,
True.
just always delivering when the team, sort of most needs them. And Natsuba Brunt too, right? I mean, leading this side, you'd sort of expect her to come good this World Cup too. We've seen her, score that century, the whole special celebration and all of that. So yeah, I think all in all, the players you've selected definitely look good. And Ash Gardner as the X factor. So far, again, she's not had. I mean, she did score that century, but
Exactly. Yeah.
with the ball, would want to see her chip in a little more. And just excited to see how all of these players sort of fare.
Okay, so you've given your 5 players to watch out for, but now it's a huge game. What about the predicted playing 11? Let's take a look at that. For Australia, I think more or less the same team, just one forced change. No skipper Elisa Healy, so you have Georgia Wall into the squad as the opener, while the rest of the players pick themselves. I'm continuing to go with Kim Garth and Megan Shooter, the two seamers. For England, same 11. Lauren Bell as the only seamer alongside Natskiva Brand, while the others are spin heavy side.
Yeah, Preetham, I see merit in where you're coming with, the construction of the playing 11s for Australia. Obviously, the one forced change is, with Georgia Wall coming in. I think, yeah, this is looking like a very formidable team, right? Australia, for the longest time, really prides themselves in going in with that sort of a bowling attack. You
True.
have two pacers and, the three spinners sort of doing their job. Plus, you have the likes of, Atalia Megra, you have Annabelle Sutherland, Eddie Sperry, who can probably chip in with those few overs. So that gives you like a very wholesome, sort of bowling options. The repertoire of bowling options is a
Yeah.
lot more. So, yeah, that at least looks very formidable for me. With England, for me, the one concern was that, the entire pace bowling owners ends up falling on Lauren Bell. Although
Lauren
Natsuma
Bell,
Brunt
yeah.
does chip in with a few overs, like, is that going to be enough? Is something they would have to think. But then again, with the way the spinners have been bowling, right, the likes of Charlie Dean, Sophie Eccleston, and Lindsay Smith, it's impossible, right? You'd be just really like breaking your head as to who do we drop to, sort of accommodate that extra seamer. And even just looking at the batting department side of things, having someone like a Danny White Hodge warm the benches is an
Yeah,
absolute
that's very shocking, but they cannot find a formula to have her into the side.
exactly, unless you want to drop someone like an Emma Lamb or an Alice Capsey, who's again chipping in with a few overs. So it's again problems of abundance for England in that regard. But considering this has been the winning combination for
They
them,
will stick to
and
that.
all players, yeah, are not dealing with illnesses or anything, I think yeah, this does seem like again a formidable playing 11 on paper
Both
that gives
teams
them a
look a
good chance.
formidable in 11 according to you, and I agree with that, what it takes. But high stakes clash, huge game because of the rivalry they share between each other. Time to put you into the hot seat. Predictions time, batting friendly conditions in indoor. Your thoughts, Neha? What is your percentage for this one?
Yeah, Preetham, I think this one I didn't really have to give it a lot of thought considering the form and the teams that are on that are under question here. For me, I think I'd say an 80-20 to Australia. I think Australia
Wow.
really has a good chance to win this. For me, they look like clear favorites, Preetham, not just to win this match, but also the tournament because of the way they've been going. Again, not being disrespectful to England, but I think Australia really has the edge, right? They've been a cut above the rest in this tournament,
True,
and
true.
yeah, this match probably can help them sort of just go that extra mile. And win versus England would definitely do them a world of good.
That's huge. That's huge. I must tell you, 80-20 in such a huge game between two rivalries near countries. That's all we have. 80-20, says Neha. She also says that I'm expecting Australia to win the tournament too. So defending champions are going to successfully defend their crown. Says Neha. That's all we have. Thank you so much, Neha. Thanks to all the viewers as well. Australia versus England rivalry clash. Sit back and enjoy. We are building India's smartest cricket community. Subscribe to become a part of it.